Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world. May the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless through the goodness that arises from my practice. And through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize nirvana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. So let us find a comfortable shape where we can feel supported, at ease. Sometimes I think of this posture if I'm sitting or lying down, like getting ready to watch a movie where the body is really at ease, really relaxed, and where we feel this sense of stability and we're not having to hold up our posture, but letting the spine relax, just like dishes stacked one on top of the other. The shoulders drop, letting the belly be soft and relaxed. Noticing where the body makes contact with the surface. If your feet is touching the ground, this is the body kissing the earth. And much of our day and in much of our days throughout the week, we spend so much time in our mind, our body carrying out our intentions. And now we come back to be with the body, come home to the body, and perhaps inviting in that nourishing breath, that breath that calms and soothes the nervous system, that breath that tells the animal of our soft body to relax. It's okay to set it down now. It's okay to set down the future and let go of the past. And for this time now, giving ourselves permission to truly be in the body, experiencing the body. Becoming one with the body. And it's not a requirement to be still, but it's when we can let ourselves experience that ease and that softening, that stillness will allow us to see more clearly the movement of the mind. So as best as you can, notice any area where there might be tension, tightness. Bring your awareness to that area and soften. Perhaps even sending your breath to those parts in the body where there might be an unpleasant feeling. With awareness, what is possible? What would feel most supportive? What shape to take on that will allow this settling down, this dropping into the body, this landing into the present moment. Perhaps it's hearing sound bringing you back to what's here now. Maybe it's in touch with the aliveness of the body, feeling sensations of breathing, heat, pressure, wind. Something enjoy in this moment, in this practice. Maybe it's enjoying the in breath and the out breath. Or maybe it's enjoying that. I don't have to do anything right now. I can just be. You can just rest in open awareness. At this time now, we are bringing our sense doors back home, turning them in, reining your awareness in to generate interest for how the breath is. Perhaps noting the quality of each in breath and out breath, or noting the feeling tone of each moment shifting and changing. Getting very detailed with our attention. Getting caught, just attentive, interested, lightly touching, is being known. Whatever arises, whether be it sounds or sensations in the body or thoughts, can we include that inside of our practice? Turning towards it to acknowledge its presence. Its effect on our nervous system. Acknowledge that chemical reaction within upon hearing, upon feeling. And what arises in the mind. How does it feel like within? And with mindfulness and wisdom, working to calm and soothe the experience. Mm. What needs to be let go of to allow for this body to experience ease, for the mind to experience ease. It will support well-being in this moment. If you're experiencing something unpleasant, is it possible to soften to it, to turn towards it, and be a witness to whatever that might be, whether it's discomfort in the mind or in the body, a strong emotion, a sensation that might feel just a tad stressful. And maybe we stay with it and meet it. Or maybe we turn towards what is good. Where is there space within? Perhaps it's those moments of touching the stillness or feeling at one with the body and the breath. Or perhaps it's just the simple observation of dukkha itself, the dukkha of a restless mind, restless body. In these last few moments, I'd like to invite you to scan the body to see if you can identify an area where you're experiencing some discomfort or pain. Maybe choosing something that's on a scale of 1 to 10, a 5 or 6. Bringing your awareness to this that we can call dukkha. Dukkha, this feeling that is unsatisfactory, that is stressful, uneasy to be with. I'd like you to turn to it. If you would be open to have a conversation, to perhaps say to this sensation, this feeling tone, dear dukkha, dear Vedana, or whatever you'd like to call it. I know you are here. I've come home to be with you now. Maybe it's a feeling of anxiety, or a heaviness, or heat, or some other sensation that I haven't mentioned. I've come home to you now. I've returned to listen to you, to care for you, to let you know that I recognize your presence in me. I want to get to know you. I am willing to listen to you. I will breathe with you. I will move with you in mind. I will do my best to nurture you and soothe you when you are calling for my attention. Dear Dukkha, I'm going to take great care of you today. In a moment, I will invite the sound of the bell. You're welcome to continue sitting or take a few minutes to break, to take care of yourself. If you need to use the restroom or have a drink of water, do that. Taking care of yourself is very much a part of the practice. And today, in a moment, I'll give this the talk on this Harvey, this quality called Khanti, Khanti, which translates to endurance or patience. And just right off the bat, I want to acknowledge myself for being really patient with the technology. I was like, oh, I'm not having any aversion to the fact that I spend, over half an hour, 40 minutes to set it up, and what if it's working? That it is perhaps a practice on, doing the work, going all the way through, and then letting go of all expectations. Hmm. It sounds like a hurricane is in the room. Oh, okay. Thank you, Candace, when the original sound is on. Yeah. Welcome, Susan. It's great to see you, my friend. Oh, good to see you here. And welcome, Kimberly. Welcome, Kimberly. Good to see you here. Glad that you're able to come. Mm. So we'll begin here in just a few more minutes. Probably I'd say around 5:40 to give everyone a chance to use the restroom, stretch, or stand. right. Begin here. Um, just another few seconds. Can everybody do online? Yes, they can. Oh, yes. You could hear, okay, great. Okay. So when we go into sharing, the sound will just come out of my laptop. And then if everyone could, if you're sharing, if you could speak loudly, or what I could even do is pass my phone around and you could use this as a mic. That's the other way I can do that. Yeah. Yeah. So let me go ahead and log on the side. Okay. So today I'd like to offer this the teaching on the word Khanti, Khanti, which is the Pali word for endurance, commonly translated as patience. And also, it could also mean forbearance. For me, growing up in the Vietnamese cultures, I was raised in a Buddhist family. The word endurance really resonates with me as far as how to practice this quality that, where the mind is not trying to just put up with something, but rather there's a sense of uh, enduring. So um, I want to speak a little more on this because I feel like this is a quality that is perhaps underrated. It's not talked about a lot, and also how it applies in meditation, but also in daily life. And if it's anything we need more of in today's society, I'm sure you can all agree with me as we see the political system and, the places where we work and outside of our Sangha, that there could be definitely just an ounce more patience with how, you know, um, we all move through the world and our environment and in our communities. And the other thing too is that what I've come to see, having had the blessings of being in both culture and having grown up in the Vietnamese Mahayana tradition and now practicing in the Theravada tradition, which is mostly rooted in meditation for me, is that sometimes endurance is even misinterpreted. And it's even said like, don't try to endure when you're sitting there. Don't try to endure it, but do something or move if you need to. But I have another angle of this that I like to propose. And if you feel that it works and it resonates, please steal it. And if it seems like it doesn't suit your practice, just let the words just pass by. Um, so I grew up I mentioned earlier, in a Buddhist family, and my mom was, my first teacher, my first Buddhist teacher. And she's a Vietnamese woman who, like many Vietnamese women during her time, endured a lot of hardship. It was the time during the Vietnam War. And I mean, she grew up pretty much in a a country that has been just desolated by war and colonization. She lost her mom when she was 9 years old. And so her father raised her and along with four other siblings. And one of the things that, I learned from my mom with this quality called Khanti is the way in which she navigated the multitude of hardships that was there in her life from, you know, growing up in a culture and country where, women were, not given the same, you know, right to speak and also having to endure. I mean, she worked full time while she was caring for 6 kids, and usually, the Vietnamese culture, it's the women that take care of the kids, and so she worked in the market selling used clothing, and then took care of 6 kids, and then also came home and cooked and cleaned, and you know, and then when we came to the States, we came here with nothing, and we were actually sponsored by a church. So on Sunday we'd go to church and sit there and hear the sermon. And but at the same time we were devout Buddhists, so afterwards we'd go to the temple. So talk about, endurance or forbearance, right? It's, your heart is in one place, but you still go out of the respect for we went out of respect for our sponsors. So I really learned how to, be in environments that were different than what we were used to. And even coming here, to a culture where, at that time my mom was already 40 something and not knowing a word of English, and my dad too, and the rest of us. But I think what was really exemplary about my mom was that she never complained. You know, she had a husband that was, he had a lot of uh, violence and anger in him because of the war. My dad was in the war and was also imprisoned, and she never complained. She always shared the teachings of the Dharma, saying that life is, there's a lot of suffering in life. Life is full of suffering. So just that recognition that it's hard right now. I'm going through things right now. This is not easy right now. Just that recognition and acknowledgement of it was a way for her to normalize this experience, not, not omitting it, not dismissing it, but coming to terms that, yeah, this is the challenge of being in this body, having been born into this culture, being a female, and all of the challenges that came with her life. There's this quality of just forbearance, really being able to navigate all of the challenges. And my mom worked in an Asian market, uh, working at below minimum wage at that time, I remembered. And she worked in the butcher shop, but she was a vegetarian. So she would have to chop meat and prepare the meat. And when she'd come home from work, her apron, smelled like raw meat. But she was a vegetarian for many years. And so, just sharing that, thinking about that has me see, wow, that's what it looks like to, really embody that quality of Khanti, of endurance, of patience, the mind that is not in an aversive state. And then through the years, when she worked for a high-end suit company, they had a factory, and she was a seamstress there. Um, there are some really challenging parts about quality control, and she had one of the more difficult part, which was making the collar for these expensive suits. And uh, I remember a lot of times when my mom would come home and always with a smile, always, fulfilling her roles and happily and joyfully. And I could tell now looking back, some of the hardship that she endured, but she never let it wear her down. And so when I think of the word patience or endurance, I think of, you know, this this tolerance that's there that doesn't wear us down, that doesn't, have us feel like we've been worn down by whatever we're, putting up with, unquote. But that it is this ability to remain firm under stressful situation, you know, that we can maintain our composure, right, while we're met with an unfavorable condition. And this quality of perfection is one of the 10 qualities from the paramis. The parami, the word meaning that which has reached the other shore. And in Mahayana Buddhism, it's called paramita, and they boil it down to 6 qualities. But from the Theravada school, it's 10 qualities. And so this is a frame of reference. These qualities are a frame of reference for the path that we're on. And so this particular quality that I want to focus on today about Khanti, is how do we practice with this way of being, this quality of mind that doesn't get swayed or pushed or pulled in some direction, whether it is something we hear in the news. Can we endure it? Can we hear it and be able to not take the bait, not fall into that reactive state, or if we do, be able to come back to a place where we can endure what we're receiving, what we're meeting. And Khanti is considered one of the highest virtue. It's that ability to observe pain, to be with our pain. We're not trying to inflict pain. We are just letting it arise when it does and observe it. And then Khanti is also absent, I mentioned earlier, absent of aversion. It's the absence of suffering. So when I think of, my mom's life, I think of a woman who had endured a lot of hardship, but she didn't suffer. She didn't have a life that was filled with suffering. And that was a result of, the way she continued to turn her mind towards the Dharma, reflecting, oh, this is suffering. Oh, this is what stress looks like. This is what being a Vietnamese woman in this society looks like, or this is what it means to be an immigrant in this country. Being someone who's, not able to speak English fully and work in a place where, there's a lot of challenges and hardship. And a number of you can identify with some of these, you know, uh, categories as well of having endured certain hardships. And what does it feel like when we have that opportunity to experience hardship? That rather than falling into that mind state of blaming, that we could see it as an opportunity for us to see the Dharma, and also the karma that is there for us, the karma of, our very own identity or the Dalai Lama says that the practice of patience, Khanti, guards us against losing our presence of mind. It enables us to remain undisturbed even when the situation is really difficult. So when this quality of Khanti is present, we're able to remain present. We're able to be with what is, with the what is so, the suchness of our experience. And it enables us to remain undisturbed. So while we're enduring this, you know, challenging or disturbing information or this pain that we're feeling, that we're able to maintain our composure, even when the situation is really difficult. And I think what's here, what mindfulness allows for us to do here is to acknowledge this is difficult. And that acknowledgement that, oh, this is difficult, this is stressful, lets us get in touch with the experience as it is, right? That the mind now is turned towards the present moment experience of it rather than into a story and a narrative, into a reactive state. And it gives us the Dalai Lama says that it gives us a certain amount of inner peace, which allows us some self-control. So Khanti gives us a certain amount of inner peace. I want to just pause it for a moment because I'm really feeling into what does that look like? How does that feel like in that moment where patience or Khanti is present? How do I move from that space where, I feel threatened or something is not going my way, right? To peace. Where is that jump or the bridge that has us not go down that path of reaction or interpretation, but rather, oh, wow, I'm not really liking what I hear right now, but we're still able to hold our composure. So even the word inner peace, it means, you know, being okay, even when things are not going our way. It's radical to think that I could be at peace when everything could be going wrong right now. That's possible, right? And I'm sure you've experienced that at times where you felt like, wow, it's been a crazy day, or it's been a really, you know, crazy week. Everything fell apart, but I feel quite okay inside. And that's where mindfulness and wisdom first helps us to recognize the present moment as it is, and then wisdom that brings in the Dharma to know that, oh, this is okay that this is happening. And wisdom also knows how to respond to what is happening, what action, what words will, support me in this moment. So he continues by saying, okay, it gives a certain amount of inner peace, which allows us some self-control so that we can choose to respond to situations in an appropriate and compassionate manner rather than driven by our disturbing emotions. Oh, Margaret, I see your hand is up.
May I say something just for a moment?
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
yes, Margaret.
Okay, yeah. Just thinking about what you're saying. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for sharing
Mhm.
your story. Very similar to my mother's story.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was an immigrant and very similar. And 5 children and working all the time. I understand. I really do. But in really thinking about what you're saying, um, I know so often when hardship can, well, there is this tendency to identify with the hardship.
Mhm. Margaret, you're muted. I'm sorry. Maybe I had accidentally pressed the button. There you go. I was trying to spotlight you.
Okay. Yeah.
I
I
heard you say, I heard you say maybe there's,
oh I was thinking so often we rush to become the experience,
Mhm.
you know, and all of a sudden we're seized by it. We feel seized by it.
Mhm.
But I liked what you said about turning toward it, and you almost want to step right into it and know that you're okay because it's not you.
Mhm.
It's not who we are. And it's beautiful in that sense, the practice, very, very beautiful. Um, to recognize, this is, I can be okay and just be with this, peacefully coexist, as I think John Sumedo might have said, with this hardship. And it's just a very, very beautiful um, element of the practice, you know? Yeah, yeah, Khanti, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Margaret.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah. And so when we look at this, you know, quality from the angle of our practice, we can notice when we're touching into something uncomfortable within us, how we respond. Is it this, ah, quickly backing out of it and wanting to come right back to the breath? Or are we able to stay with it just long enough to touch into it and stretch and expand our ability to just endure it a little bit longer? So I think of this like along the lines of sometimes developing a allergic response to dukkha, right? Are we allergic to the dukkha, right? That moment of reaction to pain, to discomfort. Does our body harden up? Do we tighten up? Do we brace, right? Or can we first recognize that, oh, we're having a kind of a allergic response to what we don't like? I was a while back, I was listening to a book called The Coddling of the American Mind. And one of the things I thought was so fascinating in this book was that these are two professors that have witnessed um, the change of the generations and how it would change the way the colleges would offer their courses and what they taught and what teachers to bring in, what speakers to bring in. And a couple of things. One is that, when the students uh, saw that there was a guest speaker that was coming that didn't align with their views, they would protest. And they would protest, and it would get to the point that, the dean and the head of the colleges would have to tell the guest speaker that their event is canceled. And eventually, they would only bring in speakers that fit with whatever the students wanted to hear. And so when we think about it from that place, you know, can we sit and listen to a talk or to someone with the opposite view from ours? Can we be in a adverse situation or setting and take in something that is so different from our own beliefs and be able to endure, to practice Khanti in that moment? I remember the years I've gone to hundreds of Catholic masses. And I knew it was a wonderful practice for me because at that time in my life, I was like, I'm religious, I'm Buddhist. I was like, I'm never gonna convert. No, I'm like so Buddhist. And I knew that, yeah, that was good for me. And I had to sit through lots of masses and even you know, uh, volunteer to go, to the hospitals and take the women to go give like the Eucharist to those who are in the hospital, in hospice. And then I was reminded of that a few days last week when I was with a couple of friends who one of the husband, he does this. He's a very spiritual person. And he goes and gives Eucharist. It's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. He's like, you do? I was like, yeah, I used to go to those things too. Oh, but can we sit in a place, a room full of those with opposing views or different views from ours? And then the second part of this book, at least one of the pieces that I thought was so interesting was how he shared about the history of allergies in the school and how they came about, especially in the grade school, where peanut allergy first started with one child. And then it was like, okay, well, I guess we'll just remove peanuts from the school menu and kids can't bring any snacks with peanuts. And then a little bit of a reaction to another food, okay, we're going to remove that too now. And then because of that, it was as if there was a correlation where the kids started their allergies, kept going up. More kids had peanut allergies, and there was more um, different types of allergies that started to form. And when I reflected on this, was we were in last week in Sangha, we talked about how in our social hour, how we some of us growing up, myself too, was that I remember I had an allergy to a certain type of Asian eggplant, and I would break out my, all over my hands, and it would get itchy. And my mom, was like, okay, well, you should stop eating that. And my dad said, no, no, keep eating it. And I was like, okay, good, because I really like it. So I kept eating the eggplant and I kept breaking out and I'd observe it. Okay, yep, it's doing that thing again as I expected. And I eat it and it would break out again. And then eventually along the way, something changed and I was no longer allergic to eggplants. And I don't know that I would recommend this for those of you who have allergies, but you can see it try it for yourself and see what happens. But just what I wanted to share here was, perhaps coming back to this practice of Kante where we really allow ourselves to be exposed to, the hardship, the difficulty, and recognize that in that we are cultivating this virtue to bear witness to the things we don't like, the conditions that are not, favorable to us. And how can that help us to get in touch with the Dharma? Right. So one of the ways that we can have patience is, you know, patience as we contemplate on the nature of emptiness, that our our bodies endures, suffering, and that it's inevitable. And our environment also, can be something that we can work with, patience towards the environment. And patience with regard to the environment, or Khanti towards the environment, means that we endure some of the pain and difficulty when we are faced with the natural catastrophe that's going on, or global warming, extreme heat or cold, or, fire. And we can observe the elements, in our environment, but also within us. Like today, as we were meditating, I noticed so much heat in my body. And wow, it has at times like that really warm and fiery feel to it. And that, oh yeah, just being aware of it you know, could give rise to this clarity of mind just by increasing that energy of mindfulness to, our internal environment and our external environment. Um, how do we also have patience with those who would like to harm us, or those who threaten, our sense of ease or well-being, those who make things challenging for us throughout, you know, our daily lives, our work, our projects, our plans. And I just want to read a few words from Master Shen Yen, who was the founder of Dharma Drum Mountain Buddhist Association. He revived Chinese Buddhism. Um, and he talks about these three uh, ways in which we work with Khanti. So Khanti, so patient, he used the word patience here, patience with those who would harm us if we do not respond in a harmful way when confronted by those who wish to harm us. We can avoid hurting others and ourselves. If we do not habitually respond negatively, it may seem that we always surrender, but we are actually developing the courage and skill to protect ourselves as well as others. So in the long run, it will be better for everyone. We're practicing with the environment as well, patience with regard to the environment. Means that we're enduring the pain and difficulty when faced with natural calamities, and that, this Buddhist view that we have, that our physical bodies are made up of the elements, these elements that are also, you know, on the outside could be destructive. And when the body is not in harmony, or when we are ill, it is the results of an imbalance of the four elements. So therefore, our patience with regard to the environment includes patience with one's own body and its troubles as well. And then earlier I mentioned patient endurance of the dharmas. So being able to bear witness to the pleasure and pain of our experience. So we can practice, to observe dukkha vedana, so the suffering of the feeling tone. So in the moment that it's pleasant, oh, this is so good, and then it becomes unpleasant. Oh my God, I don't like this. But just even observing the suffering of that, how we just go back and forth, or we fall into maybe a dull place where we're not really sure, do I like it? I don't like it. I'm not really sure. Right. And also He says that kind of patience that encompasses all favorable and unfavorable conditions. So we're able to embrace all of it, what's going our way, what's not going our way. So earlier I mentioned um, how we can use the practice of mindfulness and wisdom to reflect back in those moments when we're meeting a uncomfortable situation or something unfavorable, and being able to see the Dharma in that moment. And here, Master Shen Yen talks about patience can, being worldly and also world transcending. So the worldly patience is manifested in coping with the environment, enduring extreme heat, cold, hunger, thirst, pain, joy, criticism, and physical and mental fatigue. And then the world transcending patience goes beyond the experience of pleasure and pain and fatigue and restlessness. So this kind of forbearance is integrating the Dharma into one's life. So we are accepting the difficulties that comes with life, with, enduring, this practice of enduring. And the other part that I think is so important too is using our time wisely and fully. So that time that, I think of, use the example with my mom, that she could be complaining or upset and anger, and she could, you know, her anger could be valid and true, but not using her time for that, but using her time to take care of her kids or cook, she would cook this rice soup called kanji, and bring it to the temple every Sunday. So that, she used her time going to the grocery store on Saturday, getting groceries, making food for Sunday. So inside of that way of being of enduring some of the hardships that she knew she could not change, that was just there. Yeah. Was turning her attention to generosity, right? To loving kindness, to caring for others, and to again and again acknowledging the Dharma. Oh, yes, in life there is suffering. In life, yes, there is stress. And it feels like this, yes, this moment. Margaret, I see your hand up. I'm going to wrap up and then we'll go into the question and sharing. Is that okay?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Mm,
you. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. And
Sure. I'm in love with the Dharma as you are.
what?
So this is why I'm always so talkative, but forgive me, you go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so
Mhm,
much for your patience,
mhm.
Khanti. And so I wanted to just bring this back, to give us a little bit of time to share as, that practice. I put together a practice called the 6S. And these are words that, in the morning, and we wake up together every morning when we sit in our meditation, I find myself saying these words very often. And so I put these words together, and they happen to be all S's, and putting them in a systematic order of how we can practice. And it starts with the first S is to stop. So stop and just pause and recall the energy of mindfulness again. And then the second S is to settle down. settle down the body, settle down the mind. And then the next is sensing, sensing into this moment. How is the mind right now? How is the body right now? What is happening right now internally? And really turning our sensors inwards. And then the next is softening. So softening to the experience. So as we are sensing into this, we feel maybe it's pain in the body, it's discomfort, there's something unpleasant. Softening to it, softening to the experience, releasing the constriction, the tension, the hardness, and relax in the midst of aversion or doubt or resistance. And when we do this, we're softening to the sankharas, the impressions within, and we're softening to transform the habit energies within us. Because our habit energy to pain is, I need to do something. You know, like I need to take a pill, I need to move. But here we're learning to transform that. So if it's an itch, it's, oh, I could actually be with this itch. And this itch, I know, will not be here forever. It will change. So we're transforming our habit energies and the obsessions of mind. And we touch it with awareness, whatever that is, whatever the hindrance is, we're touching it. So we're softening physically and also mentally. And then the next is to soothe ourselves, soothe the experience. So we can soothe ourselves with the conscious in-breath and the out-breath. So breathing a little bit harder to bring back our full awareness to the breath and working to calm the nervous system. So we feel it on a cellular level when the body, you feel the sensation, the tingly sensation, the pulsing sensation starts to kind of, quiet down a little. And we can soothe ourselves by talking to ourselves, just like we did at the end of this meditation. Oh, hello, pain. Hello, restlessness. I've come home to be with you. I know you're here. And I'm going to listen to you. This morning in Wake Up Together, I shared about this new technique that I've shared with lots of friends. And there were some friends who had some really bad migraines through the years. And I said, how about you write a love letter to your migraines and give it an endearing name, a really sweet name. And one other person called their migraines Munchkin. And so, they told me one day they took their phone because I sent this letter to them and they went into the bathroom and they said, Dear Munchkin, I know you're here. I've come home to you now. And they said, just even me saying that made me laugh, made me smile, and helped me soften to my migraine. And she said, when I did that day, I didn't have to take medication. And I've always had to take medication. And another person said to me that they too tried it with their migraines. And they said, my migraines were still there, but it was bearable. I could be with it. I could be with it. So we can talk to ourselves, soothe ourselves with this, kind, nurturing, voice, that knowing that you know, um, words can give rise to a certain way of being. So words speaking shapes our being. So the words that we use and say to ourselves, to our pain, to our suffering, can also help transform it. And then the next step, the next S is to smile. Smile to the experience. smile. Just in smiling, we can feel that physiological shift in the body when we smile, whether it's when we're sitting on the cushion or even on the phone. As you know, I was doing a training the other day, and we were talking about how just while you when you pick up the phone to answer that call, even if they don't see your face, but you're smiling, they can hear it through the sound of your voice. And so even smiling, our body receives that. Our nervous system receives that. And then the last S is staying, staying with the experience. Don't get up, don't run, don't don't go. Stay with the experience. Was that 6 or 7 S? We can try.
I think that would make sense.
Oh, well then there we go. Anna said 7. Okay. I think I added one more. I reflected on this. So it's okay. Candy said 6. Kendall said 6. Okay, Rob counted 7.
Oh, seven, sensing, softening, soothe.
Smile and stay.
Stay.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's stop, settle, sensing, softening, soothing, smiling, and staying. Okay. Yes. So I added one more since I was yes.
The one time I have to be taking.
Oh, the one time you have to be taking notes. Um, so we're up on time. We have just another minute, and I wanted to give Margaret and whoever wanted to share some time to share. So maybe would everyone be okay about staying another 5 minutes? Is that all right? Yes, and for those of you who have to leave, thank you for being here. Margaret.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I wanted to say I love your well, 6 or 7
Seven.
yeah, steps, and I really want to work with those. I like that more than what I was going to say. I was thinking of again, Ajahn Sumedho, I think helped me with this. He's just the reminder that this is a sense realm,
Mhm.
and that would wake me, that simple reminder would wake me right up
Yeah.
to the reality and what it says to me is it's okay. You're going to be faced with pain and discomfort and it's really okay. This is a sense realm. It's not going to be smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And just that little reminder is, I don't know, for me, it was valuable and it is valuable. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm
Mm.
collecting S's right now, and I heard you say the word smooth. Simplify. Okay. Now we have 9. I
Right.
was like, no, that's too much. You max out 7. Anyone else with something you'd like to share? I think for those in the room, if you could speak up, I will turn the original sound on, and I think everyone might be able to hear you. Yes. Yes, Tony.
I
Can everyone on Zoom hear Tony? Yes.
hear me?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah. Great.
I actually more had a question because
Yeah.
I realized they're not exactly the same thing. I just was wondering how to differentiate between equanimity and endurance.
Good question. So, equanimity, I like Tenya Khan's translation of the word equanimity because to me, it highlights this part of us being inclusive. So we're not discriminating between, this or that, but that we can hold all of the experience, right? The mind is not in a judgmental, discriminative place, but it's like open and receptive and allows. And so Khanti or patience or endurance is more of the sense of, being able to bear and withstand something. Yeah, withstand. Yes, and being able to be with suffering without trying to do anything about it, try to change it, right? So it has this quality of the other word is tolerance, But for some reason in the English translation, the word tolerance has been used in so many ways that I feel like it could get confusing, where like putting up with something, but we don't really still don't like it. But endurance or patience is non-aversive. Okay, so sometimes when we're putting up with something, we still are very aversive. There's this mind that is still complaining and hating it or whining about it. But endurance is, just being able to hold, unfavorable condition and still remain our composure. Which and it's so close, it borderlines each other.
It sounds like a preliminary step
Yeah.
towards reaching equanimity.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Yeah. So Steve is saying, Khanti is like a preliminary step towards reaching equanimity, and hence, in the paramis, if I may share it, it's, listed in such a way where the first, so it's, let me get the order down so that I have it in the right order. The paramis. So there's generosity, and then hang on a second. I have it in here, but it's not in the right order. Yeah, so it's generosity, sila, which is the precepts or morality, and then renunciation, wisdom, energy, patience or khanti, truthfulness, determination, loving kindness, and then equanimity. Yes. Yes, James, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you for that Dharma talk, and I really appreciated those stories. I really enjoyed them. They were really helpful. Um, when you're talking, when you talk about smiling, that's something I like to practice during the day, and it made me think of that Thich Nhat Hanh, that sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. And it really, I love it. He talks about, just lift the corners of your mouth, and that really, it makes me feel good during the day just to do
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, James. There's a laughter yoga uh, here, and I went to a laughter yoga session. It was at a Buddhist temple, a Vietnamese Buddhist temple in Vancouver, and it was so interesting. At first I was like, oh my goodness, am I gonna have to fabricate laughter? But it was so contagious when the instructor, I mean, she is so cute and so sweet, and she was like laughing, and it was like she mastered the art of laughing, like just on demand, and just hearing her laugh, there was just this sense of like ridiculousness, but it was so wonderful, and it made me laugh and everyone in the room laugh, and eventually, it was like we could just be with this like sense of silliness, and there's the humility in it to be able to just allow ourselves to laugh, and it was so wonderful. So if you're interested in some new experience, I invite you to try out laughter yoga. So,
Energy is contagious.
yes, exactly. It's contagious. Yes. Maybe we'll take one more share if anyone has something. Rob, okay. Can everyone hear Rob?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay? All right. So we went to 7 S's, and so I'm going to go from 3 P's to 4 P's, which is patience is perhaps the embodiment of appreciating that nothing is permanent, nothing is personal, nothing is perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
And so for me, it's a reminder of not getting attached. And I kind of wondered if you felt that patience could also be applied to positive events and not getting attached. So that's a little bit of a twist to the theme of what you were discussing.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting inquiry, huh? Can patience be applied to positive events?
Not getting carried away
Yeah.
into,
Yeah,
something.
yeah, because if we take the word Khanti and translate it here as endurance or tolerance, if we use that word instead, we need to endure a positive event. Right? So that's an unanswerable question. We'll leave that for our own inquiry. Yeah.
Maybe that might fall more under equanimity then,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
not wanting to
Sure.
get attached or reached
Yes.
for the
The
positive.
pleasant, yes.
I like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, so Tony is saying it falls under equanimity, that we're not attached, reaching for the pleasant or positive experience. You get a vegan cookie. You get a vegan cookie after this now.
I could see for people who don't allow themselves to feel joy, then you would have to be able to endure,
Yeah.
let it linger, let it
That's-
endure, because there are people who are like that,
Yeah.
and I can have that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, they think they don't deserve it,
Mhm.
or it feels uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like I have a hard time with people, like, I don't want to say intimacy, I don't mean like romantic or anything, but like people who really see you, and that moment where there's intimacy, and it's a very human, a good connection, but a part of me, it's very difficult to stay in that moment. Because I was not raised with that. I was raised, we were isolated. So to feel a moment of connection, I have to endure, I have to have patience and let myself just stay with that. So I can see it that way.
Yeah, there's something really uncomfortable about that experience, right? Like if we're not used to the joy or the closeness, that it could feel uncomfortable. And if we look at it from that angle where there is a discomfort, then where Khanti comes in is working to be with that comfort, even if it arises from what could be seen as a positive or good experience, a wholesome experience, is we're working through the discomfort. Like, for example, even people who, have a hard time receiving gifts,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah. So we're working to expand and reach the edge of that experience and kind of break through to allow ourselves to perfect and further develop and establish those wholesome qualities, such as receiving the acts of generosity of another, or receiving joy
Receiving compliments.
or compliments.
People
Exactly.
really have a hard time with that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's hard for me to take a compliment without immediately giving one back.
Oh, right, right.
Like, I love your, it's hard to
just stay and take it in. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yes. I know we were supposed to end, but it seems that everyone is here, so we'll just, if you
It's just one
don't
final
mind.
thought,
Yeah, sure. Of
It's a
course.
shout out,
Yeah.
basically, because you had mentioned in the very start about your mother, and it made me think of my grandmother. She lives with us. She's 101 years old. And that is like, you know, she's in our home because of the admiration and the connection that I've had with her over the years. And it is that she endured in such a great, graceful way that is part of what I admire. Just, you know, it is such a wonderful trait, you know, to honor.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I feel like I learned a little bit of that through her modeling.
Yes.
I don't know if I get it right, but I try.
You're doing great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, so that's why I really like the word, you know, enduring, you know, endurance over some of the other words, because it's not used enough. You know, I think even in the meditation practice, sometimes there are guidances that say, you know, this is not an endurance contest. Yes, I agree, but at the same time, we are working on enduring our suffering. You know, in those moments where we're sitting there and the body is painful, it's uncomfortable, it's hot, there's heat, there's, you know, all these elements that we're dealing with, and then you know, this, either it's chronic, you know, pain or acute pain or things that are just always there or unexpected. It's learning how to endure it. Can I just be with this? Can I be with it? You know, rather than, oh, I have this, I need to go take something for it. What if I just sat with this? Like the way I was talking about with the couple of folks who I had shared the practice with around, you know, having a new relationship with your migraines, right? Is that, oh, I need to take something right now, you know, because this is painful. But what if we kind of stretch our window of tolerance a bit, our threshold a little bit, by just staying there just a little bit longer? You know, that pain that was once a 7, we have, you know, build our endurance to it, so now it's maybe a 6 or even a 5, right? So earlier I mentioned that hardships can be an opportunity for us to continue to see the Dharma, but also to build up our practice, you know, in a way that has us withstand the winds and the, you know, calamities, withstand the, you know, the difficulties of life in such a way that we are not suffering because of hardship, but we continue to awaken through hardship. So thank you all for being here, and thank you so much for your shares. Thank you. I'm sorry for those of you who might have wanted to share but didn't get a chance to do so. I will put the donation links in the chat if you feel moved to make a donation to Pacific Northwest Meditation. My wish is for us to be able to move into the bigger room downstairs, and with your donation, you know, we are able to continue to have the space, a refuge, a home for us to come together and practice. And thank you all for being here. Your presence really makes a difference. Thank you, everyone. So I will end with 3 sounds of the bell, and we'll breathe mindfully together. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. May all beings be happy. We wish you well-being as we continue. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your smiles and your presence. Yes, and I'd like to invite you all, for those of you who can stay, to join us in the cafeteria for snack and social time. We'll have tea and some snacks if you're able to stay.
We'd love to.
Thank you, Trina.
We have a sick dog.
Oh,
Take care,
sick
everybody.
dog.
We gotta.
Best wishes.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Trina.
Oh, come here.
Great to
Yeah.
see you all. All right, we'll say goodbye to our Zoom friends too.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
See you
Goodbye.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, James,
Bye.
Margaret,
Good
Peggy.
seeing you.
Oh,
Bye.
ready for takeoff. Bye, Peggy. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Kimberly. Oh,
Kimberly.
look at that. Oh, Kimberly and
Aw.
Ashita. Oh my God, my has she grown?
Who's there?
Oh my goodness, look at her.
Yay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Mommy Yumpkin.
Oh, Kimberly, she's adorable.
Oh my
That's great.
goodness.
Amazing.
Good to see you, sis. I can't hear what you're saying, but there you go. Could hear you
Okay.
now.
Thank you.
Oh.
Definitely share with me the 17 S's.
Yes.
I got 7 of them.
Seven- 17
Yeah,
S's.
so-
Oh. I'll work on the other 10.
Okay.
8. I shall.
We must
Have a
have a
wonderful.
list.
Good to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.